Hello, today we are talking about Tom Palmer. And what are we looking at here? It's difficult to talk about Tom Palmer, an inker, without talking about the penciler or pencilers that they work with. And for Tom Palmer, it is almost impossible to talk about him without talk about Gene Colan. And here is one of the few rare pencil work that I can find on the internet that Gene did. Just take a look at the way Gene did the penciling. Gene Colan have a very unique style of penciling that I am sure is extremely difficult for many inker to handle the chore as far as trying to ink his work. So this is a very good example of how he did his penciling. Okay, certainly very different from a style, say Neil Adams or John Byrne, which is much crisper and cleaner. It's hard to describe Gene Colan penciling. You know, he used a lot of gray line, a lot of gray shade, but nonetheless, I love it. It's beautiful. Now, let me show you what we have here. Here we have the before and after result, and this inking is actually quite beautiful. It's done by the great Bob McLeod, one of the better Bronze Age or Copper Age or even modern inker that we have today. Just look at what he has done with Gene's penciling. Certainly, I love what he did right here. I love the way he highlighted the pictures in the forefront and do the lighter shading in the back. Very cool. It reminds me of, you know, when you watch a movie in a scene where they focus on the actors up front and then have the image behind the actor blurry, but very beautiful. The most notably changes is right here. If you look at this picture right here, okay, Gene penciling, and then look at what Bob did. He basically inserted, redrawn the faces, but it's beautifully done. You know, it's gives you an example of what an inker can do to a piece of pencil. They can transform it and make it into something that is almost very different. I love the result of this inking job by Bob, but there's something about this inking that kind of lost in translation a little of what Gene intended to do. Okay, and I think to be able to me, a great inker is somebody that can translate the intent of the penciler. Okay, so for the rest of this video, I will focus on what other inkers has done with Gene Colan, and then what the great Tom Palmer have done with Gene Colan to make him one of the greatest inker in the Silver Age and Bronze Age, in my opinion. Okay, in front of us here is a copy of Daredevil 22. I pulled it out from my reader's run of Daredevil. I love this series, especially with Gene doing the penciling. And I brought these out just to give you a quick flip of the various inker. Here we have, I can't pronounce this person's name. Every time I look at his name, I can't figure it out. But Dick Ayers is the other inker. And as you can see here, the art is fairly well done. But for sure, if you can see as example, as I have shown in the first part of this, earlier part of this video, on the way Gene pencil, certainly a lot of what he put down on the piece of paper probably got lost in translation, but nonetheless it is well done. Certainly, you know, I am very happy with the result of this book. When I flip through this book, each time I have done it, I enjoy the art, but certainly, you know, I know it would have been very different if somebody else inked this copy back in the days. So that is one quick example of Ayers and Jacques. Oh, forget it. Not even gonna try. Okay, next I'm gonna pull out issue number 26. Once again, you have Gene, and this time, based on what we see here, look like he inked his own work. Beautiful action scene here. I just love the way Gene draw the movement of Daredevil. Gorgeous, beautiful splash page. And as you can see, you know, look at this picture. That's, you know, Gene probably is his best inker, as in many artists that I have showcased in the past. As you can see, you know, he inked over his penciling much as the way he intend it to look. You know, it's so. As you can see, a lot of this book, if you have it and flip through it, you can see that it's much different than the other works that other people ink for Gene. Okay, let's pull one more. This one here is issue 41, and it is inked by John Taglione. Once again, you know, one of the things that you will notice in these early Daredevil issues is Marvel threw a ton of different inkers on Gene. I can only guess the reason, because, you know, certainly Gene penciling were beautiful, but I'm pretty sure they were trying to find a good match with his style. And once again here you can see the inking is not bad, but certainly, you know, something is lost in translation. Okay, like I said, I like the inking job, but certainly, you know, I can feel that it is a lot of gray shading that are being omitted. Just look at this. Gene is always great at drawing action scene. Look at that. Look at that kick. It's hard to flip through a Gene Colan book without talking about the action scene. But just look at this right here. This is a pretty good picture right here, but I can look at this picture right now and can only guess that a lot of Gene pencil somehow didn't make it to this page. But it's like I said, to Marvel credit, they did throw a lot of very capable inkers with Gene to to find a good match for him. And this one here, issue number 36. Let's see who's the inker here. It's inked by Frank, just Frank alone. Okay, and just look at that. That's beautiful. But when you look at this picture right here, where it's quite clean and crisp and sharp, that's really not the way Gene Colan would pencil. But Frank did a good job. Certainly you can tell the difference between this book when Frank did the inking by himself compared to when Frank and Dick Ayers did the inking in issue 22 that I shown earlier. Very well done. It's I don't want to spend too much time looking at these books. Okay, before I go to Tom Palmer, I want to show one more book with a different artist. And let's see, it's issue 44. Issue 44 showcased an inker that I think will surprise a lot of people. I actually like the inking job of this book very much, more than almost all the books I have shown so far in this video. And to my surprise, when I flipped through this book the first time, it's Vince Colletta. Vince Colletta got a lot of criticism for his light inking, especially with his collaboration with Jack Kirby. But there is something about the work on this book that I really enjoy. So here, like I mentioned earlier, Marvel threw a lot of different inkers at Gene to try to find the right match. And just look at this book. You can recognize the lightness of inking that Vince Colletta did on this book, but at time, I like how the combination of his light inking and heavy inking on this book. He used a good mismatch of them. So just look at this picture. And here, I think it's very well done. I have to say, it's hard to criticize Vince Colletta on this book because I think it's really well done, beautifully done. Look at that. That's a very good interpretation on Gene's penciling. I actually love this page the most because that's just the way it came out. How it's light and heavy at the same time in certain area. Just look at that. I really like the result. If I had to say so far up to this point, look at that. I love that. I really enjoy the team up with Gene and Vince. Maybe it's not what other people would think, but for me, I actually love the result of this book. Just look at that. Just look at the inking, the lines. Like I said, for this book, Vince did a wonderful job mixing his light touch with the heavy touch. Absolutely love that. Love this page. But what's neat about this book? It's a double cover. It's one of those books that I bought long ago that I didn't know it was a double cover, and neither did the seller. Only when I opened it and read it, I was happily surprised that it was a double cover. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, let's jump through Tom Palmer. And here we go. This is the very first collaboration between Palmer and Colan. Absolutely gorgeous cover. I think I have shown this book once before when I did the Gene Colan video, but I absolutely love everything about this cover. This cover is about as perfect as it can be. Beautiful color, red, yellow, green, perfect centering book, razor sharp corners, everything I love in the comic books. But right away, look at this splash page. You can see that I think Palmer did a wonderful job in translating Gene penciling. He know exactly, in my opinion, I think he know exactly when to go light and when to go heavy. You know, I think the difficult part of inking Gene Colan is just not go over every single line, but be able to go over certain line with the light hand or the heavy hand. So it's a combination of, you know, being able to figure out how to make the picture appear the way Gene intended it to look. Look at that. Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous penciling and inking work here. If you don't have this book, I think it's almost like a must-have if you are a Gene Colan and Tom Palmer fan, because the art and the story, everything is just wonderful. I mean, just look at that. That's a beautiful picture. You're not going to find a picture this well drawn as far as anatomy. Look at that. You can't find a picture like this in all the other Daredevil books. All the Daredevil books that I've shown so far. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Tom Palmer often, in my opinion, can be heavy-handed, but he knows exactly when to be heavy with the ink. It adds a lot of depth to the picture. Just look at that. Awesome. And here's an example of, let me zoom out here. Look at that. Gorgeous. As you can see, you know, Tom Palmer was able to go light in certain area. It's just, to me, it's gonna be, I guess, silly to use light or heavy. He just used the right amount of ink. He just somehow he just know. He just have that good, I guess, psychic link. But I can sit here and waste the next 20 minutes looking at this book, but I'm telling you, look at that. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous inking job. Look at this. And here you go. Here's a perfect example of what I would say about, you know, if you, unfortunately we don't have an example of Gene penciling of this exact page, but if you look at this page right here, for this panel right here, it's beautifully drawn, and I can guess that it was basically Tom Palmer going over every single line that Gene draw, and it's a perfect example of when to ink exactly what was drawn and when to add a little of your own interpretation. It's just right. You know, if you look at this page right here, I can almost guess that for this entire page, it is almost going over the exact penciling that Gene Colan put down, because if you look, you know, familiar with the way Gene pencil, this is very, very close to what he would put down on a piece of paper. But like I said, Tom Palmer did a masterful job of being able to, you know, add a little more of his own touch to the book to make it absolutely beautiful. Anyhow, thanks for watching, and I will probably do at least a few more videos because it's hard to talk about Tom Palmer without talk about his collaboration with, of course, the great Neil Adams as well as other artists. So anyhow, for now, thanks for watching,